I know once people leave, I'm probably never going to hear from them again. And patients like that just don't do well in our office. We want people that are health oriented, they want to live a long, healthy life, and they're willing to make decisions and invest time into that. And what are most of the niches you're having the day one, day twos in?
More of like gut health and like decompression and things like that.
Okay. And is that still mainly the focus there? We're not doing a lot of neuropathy yet, really focusing on the
Not
decompression?
yet. In through June, we're gonna start working into it a little bit more of like getting down like the neuropathy exam and things like that. But as of right now, it's still kind of just waiting for it.
Right. And what's the biggest challenge you're seeing with the with your day one, day twos?
I still feel like it's coming down to that kind of the lasting parts of the day two. I feel like the biggest thing is still kind of struggling with and through getting spouse in, and then not having the spouse there leads to them wanting to wait and thinking about it, and then them never coming back anyways. So that's where I kind of feel like I've seen a little bit of kind of like why I feel like the beginning of May's been a little different or more difficult, I guess, within through. We've seen a little bit more of like on the decline side of things.
What percentage of the time would you say the spouse is there?
Gosh, 5%.
Okay, and who's in,
Like I,
and are you doing the day one and the day two? So you're doing the whole process?
yeah,
Okay, so one of the things with getting the spouse there, I will say the first thing is you have to make it mandatory, and the staff has to know there's no wiggle room. Because I can't tell you at first when I said, okay, the spouse has to be here, that's just the new rule. I'd hear the front desk say, "Now don't forget, Dr. Kingsbury would like it if your wife came." I'm like, I wouldn't like it. It's a rule. It's like mandatory. There's no like or dislike involved. They have to be here, period. And so the way we did it is a couple things. Number one, we had this sheet that we gave everybody that said what to expect on day two. And it basically said, we're going to go over your findings, we're going to go over these other things. And then it says why your spouse must be here. And that was highlighted in yellow. And then we had our list of, this is severe, they need to hear it from me. There's going to be take-home therapies we need their help on, and we're going to cover any out-of-pocket expenses. Your spouse needs to know what's happening if they're going to support you. So that was in writing. So that was one thing. At the end of day one, you really want to make, a part of not getting the spouse there is not being as severe as you need to during the exam process. And so a lot of times we'll get that emotional why when we're doing the day one, like we get that connection. I want to play with my grandkids. We find out the grandkids are 3 years old and the grandma can't get down on the floor and play with them because her back hurts. And so we've kind of identified her real why is she can't play with her grandkids and she's afraid they're going to stop coming over, right? Well, now we go into the exam and you have to keep that urgency and intensity there. And a lot of times I hear the doctors do a great day one, but then they get into the exam, they're just doing the thing. Okay, bring your legs up. Oh yeah, okay, well that looks like a 5 out of 10. They're just really flippant and not intentional about it. And it gives the patient the idea that this doesn't matter, that, oh, maybe I'm not that bad. So you have to keep that intensity through the exam. So they do a straight leg raise, and and they're like, ah, you're like, wow, on a scale of 1 to 10, that was a 10. Wow, man. No wonder you can't play with your grandkids. Now I get it. I see why this is interfering so much with your life. Like the whole exam has to be serious. If they start making small talks, like I used to talk, like people are like, hey, did you see the game Sunday? What the hell was up with Mahomes, man? And so we just would talk about the Chiefs during the exam. And then they didn't come back with their spouse today too. And I'm like, you know why? Because I didn't make the exam important. So then I got to the point where if they started talking, because you're going to make rapport during, the day one. So you kind of got a little friendship going. But if they start talking about, hey, what'd you think about Mahomes on Sunday? I'd say, you know what? It wasn't his best game ever. Hopefully things will bounce back. And that's it. And then if they bring something up again, the second time they try to make small talk, I'll say, Bob, and I could talk about the Chiefs all day. Once you're under care, when you're on the decompression machine, that takes about 20 minutes. I'll pop in, we'll talk about this all day long, man. That's the favorite part of my job. But while I'm doing the exam, I really need to focus on your low back because I can't miss anything. I need to make sure I don't leave any stone unturned. So I just, for the moment, I really need to focus on what I'm doing. Well, that's awkward to tell somebody, man, that gets their attention. Like, oh, okay. They're like, shit, this must be bad. So I'm setting the tone that this is a serious situation here. So through the exam, I'm keeping that intensity. I'm not laughing, I'm not talking, I'm not having fun with them. And then I've got the stage set where Now I know their why. I've kind of set the tone during the exam that this is a bad thing. Then when I get done, I'll say, now, every month I get someone that comes in here for decompression and I just can't help them. They've either waited too long or there's some complicating factor. And unfortunately, I just can't do anything. And I let that sink in and I'll say, but in your case, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't do really well here. But this is pretty bad. Like, oh, yeah. So because of the severity, two things need to happen. Number one, I need to have you back in the next day or two. Because with anything else this severe, time matters. We need to be aggressive. Second thing is I'm going to need your wife, Carol, to be here. I can't have any misunderstandings or any miscommunications when it comes to what's happening with your back. She needs to hear this from me. I'm happy to write any doctor's notes or excuses I need to, but I'm going to require that she's here. We're also going to have some therapies you need to do at home, and I'm going to need her help with that. And we're going to cover any out-of-pocket expenses at that point. So because this is so severe, I'm going to require that she's here. In fact, Bob, if you show up without her, I'm going to have Tiffany reschedule you. I'm not even going to go over your findings. I need her on board, and I need to hear it. She needs to hear it from me. That way, people will get the spouse there. The mistake is a lot of other coaching companies have taught, make it all about the finances. So like, and we're going to cover the out-of-pocket, and most families like to have those discussions when they're spending money, and they make it all about the money, and then that just opens a can of worms, because then they're like, whoa, well, how much is this? What do you mean? Like, why? Or they say, I make my own decisions. I don't need my wife here. Well, that's kind of hard to tell someone they actually do need their wife, and that's the first person that shows up and won't make the decision without their wife. So you don't want to focus it on the money. I mentioned, and we're going to cover any out-of-pocket expenses, but because this is so severe, I'm going to need her here. So I'm really pushing it on, you have a big problem, your wife needs to hear it from me, I need her here. They'll bring it if they think it's severe enough that their wife needs to be alerted of the danger. So don't really frame it around money. That's where a lot of people lose it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I can definitely say I feel like I don't bring a severity level enough to the exam side. I feel like that's really good.
It makes a big difference.
Focusing on that quite a bit more.
Yeah, because that can just keep that whole intensity that you've got. Once you've gotten that emotional why, if you can keep that intensity through the exam, and people respect it. I mean, I've never had anyone offended that I told them I really can't talk right now. I need to focus on your feet or on your low back or on your knee. They're like, what? It just gets their attention. They're like, oh shit, this must be bad. I need to take this seriously,
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
And if the spouse is in there, I'm going to do the same thing with the spouse. I'm going to have, so when they lift their feet and they go, ow, wow, what is that? What? On a scale of 1 to 10. God, that was a 10. I look at the spouse and say, man, this is pretty bad. Like I'm engaging the spouse saying, man, did you see that? Like that, they should be able to do that without pain. This is concerning. So I'm also developing that rapport with the spouse of this isn't good. I'm not BSing with the wife or the husband, and I'm really in the moment.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the other thing I will say, this comes up on occasion, is you'll get that person that laughs at everything because it's uncomfortable. Like you do a straight leg raise and it's painful and they laugh. The whole time when you're trying to get things, you're trying to make a serious connection and they're just laughing at everything. It's bizarre. I'm like, I don't know why this is funny that hurt that bad. But so the laugher, I finally with those people, it's hard to say this isn't funny. Take this seriously. And so the one line I found that works really well is if they're kind of repeatedly laughing at every test, and you know the person I'm talking about, the laugher, I'll just say, you know what? I'll stop when they go, oh, that's a 10. I'll say, you know what, Bob? I know this is uncomfortable, but we need to focus and take this seriously. Okay, because they're laughing to try to make it light and funny because they don't want to admit how bad they are. So sometimes that person I just call and I'll say, I know this can be uncomfortable, but we need to get through this. And they're thinking, laughing is not uncomfortable, but it sort of jolts them back to reality.
Yeah, I definitely think that's what people need sometimes.
Yeah, they're just trying to, that's their way of avoiding taking stuff seriously. If I laugh it off, it's not that serious. You tell them, hey, I know this is uncomfortable, but we need to focus and take this seriously. They're like, oh crap. This isn't, now I have to face the reality of my situation.
Yeah.
So, any other questions for me this morning?
Within through the new update that was to the VTGO app, how do because I couldn't figure out how to send you. It seemed like they changed how to send recordings. I tried to email them through to you through a reply. I don't know if you ended up getting them or not, but
I didn't. But let me check into that because they switched the whole system, and I'm not sure because I know they made a few changes. Let me find out about that because I know there was talk about having all the recordings only go through AI, but AI is a great screening tool, but it just doesn't get the nuances that we find as coaches. So I think all the coaches would agree that we do a much better job at analyzing it and finding kind of the few little quirks in there. So I will find out because I know they redid everything. So I'll find out how we can get recordings, and I'll look back and see if those made it to me.
There's still because it's still pretty similar into how I schedule the meetings, but there's not a way to like it was before to like click on it, you put in the file, and then whoever you put who you want to send it to. So I just didn't know where that went.
Oh, you know what? Those, I don't know how I missed those. Yeah, I see where you replied, and I did get them.
Okay, I wasn't sure if they went through or not, so.
Yep, they did. So let's just do it that way in the future. That way it'll make it easy, and then let's just schedule another time, and we'll go over those recordings.
Okay, that sounds good.
I will say also, you said you're getting the I have to think about it quite a bit.
Yeah.
No.
So with that one, if you're getting that a lot, I would number one, make sure you're getting good on day one. Then the other thing though is really hitting that on the 3 types of people. So if you're getting that, I got to think about it. What I would do is say, like when they come in at day 2, they watch the video, sit down, say hi, say, hey, I just want to let you know, I say hi to the spouse, say, one of the things I will say, we normally attract 3 types of patients here. Now, type A, health is a priority to them. They do everything we tell them. They're really focused on getting healthy. They want to live a long, healthy life. They want to be in their 90s playing with their great grandkids. And they're really focused and they take this seriously. Those patients do really well in our office. They're decision makers. They know what they need and they go for it. Type 2 is kind of the same, but they get off track once in a while. And that's where we're here to help them get back on track. The third type, they just don't take health seriously. They really just don't make decisions about their health care. In fact, they'll say, oh, Dr. Kingsbury, I need to think about it. I'm going to call you back. But guess what? I never hear from them because they're just not taking their health seriously. So I know once people leave, I'm probably never going to hear from them again. And patients like that just don't do well in our office. We want people that are health oriented. They want to live a long, healthy life, and they're willing to make decisions and invest time into that. Which type would you say you are? So I just hit that. I say, they tell me they have to think about it and they'll call me back, but I never hear from them because being healthy and living a great, healthy life is just not a priority to them. So I would make that your third type of person. That way that when they say, oh, I'm type 1, they're literally telling you, I'm not the kind of person that has to go home and think about it. So that'll get rid of 50% of that. Okay. And the other thing you can do is when they say that, you can turn it around sometimes. I'll give Kelly credit for this because she came up with this. This is how she would do it. If they said, I just need to think about it, she'd say, well, you want to answer that at first. Say, well, a lot of times when people say they want to think about it, it's because they just don't have enough information. And so while you're here and we have all the information available for you, is there any other questions I can answer that's making you hesitate? No, I just need to go home and think overnight on it. I'll give you a call tomorrow. Kelly normally would just reach out and put her hand on their arm and say, Bob, once you leave here, statistically, I'm never going to see you again. And I know how bad you want to play with those grandkids and how much you've missed going to the football games, that you just feel like a bad grandparent and that you pictured being there on game night every night watching your grandson play. And I just don't want to lose you. So I know if you leave, I probably won't see you again, and I don't want to lose you because I know I can turn this around. So while we're here, what can we do to make this happen? And a lot of times they'll say, well, I'm just worried about this, and this. So sometimes if you really come from the heart and say, man, I just don't want to lose you. Like, I know you say you're going to call me back, but statistically, once you leave, either you're going to talk what she'll say is either someone's going to talk you out of it, or even worse, you're going to talk yourself out of it. and then a few years down the road you have a failed back surgery and your life gets even worse. And I just don't want that for you, because I know we don't have to go that direction. So while you're here, what can we do to make this happen? And sometimes they'll say, I don't know, that's just so expensive. And say, well, let me ask you this. If I can talk Dr. Kingsbury into knocking $1,000 off the price if you start today, would that make a difference? Well, yeah, if you can take $1,000 off, I'll do that. Well, I still have to think about it. Okay, well, that's fine, but I will tell you, I can probably get him to drop $1,000 off today. If you come back in 3 or 4 days, he probably won't do it, because like I said, statistically, once you leave, we're not going to see you again. So if we can take $1,000 off and that helps you make this decision, I can get Dr. Kingsbury to do that. So a lot of times, you can work with them, but the key is really just say, man, I know once you leave, I'm not going to see you again. So I don't want to lose you. I know how X, Y, and Z is important, and we can get you there. But the other option is you're going to end up with a failed back surgery someday, and there's no coming back from that. So while you're here, while we still have a chance to do this in a conservative, safe way, what can I do to make this happen?
Yeah, I definitely feel like when I first started with and through Blueprint and how we kind of changed things from the pay-per-visit to like the financing and the pay-in-fulls, I feel like I really tried to haggle if they didn't feel like they're interested right away, and I think I'd come in too fast to do that. And then March and April, I felt like were really good because I was keeping to my guns a little bit more and like not really changing things. But now it feels like I'm getting to the point to where I feel like I probably could have saved people quite a bit if I did bring it back a little bit. So I guess I'm still trying to figure out kind of that gray area of still sticking with what I'm prescribing, but still trying to make it work, I guess. I don't know. I just feel like if I come in with a treatment plan, I don't want to just like fully knock things off just because they're not interested. But I guess, is it more beneficial to do it that way, to not lose them, or kind of like stick with what you're worth?
I try to stick to my guns as much as possible. And then when we did back off to a lower price, we always justified it so that it didn't. Because if you say, okay, this is going to be, decompression, it's going to be $5,000, right? And they're like, oh, there's no way I can do that. And you discount it down, or you say, okay, well, let's at least start with the chiropractic, and that's only going to be $900, whatever it is. And on some level, they're thinking, well, if you could fix me for $900, why'd you tell me $5,000? So you have to justify it. So what I would tell them is, like with decompression, I would say, here's the thing, you got to do something. Optimally, the best thing we could do is the 24 visits for, this amount is going to be $5,500. We'll start you today at $4,900. That's really the best option. But if that's not in your price range and it's not possible, we still have to do something. And so we have a couple options here. We can start out with chiropractic. That'll manage your pain and your symptoms, and you'll feel a lot better. It really won't fix the disc long term. And so we can start there and manage this and get you out of pain without drugs or surgery. But at some point, we're going to have to revisit the decompression conversation. Now, we might be able to adjust you for years without it getting worse. It's just not going to get better. And so we can keep you symptom free, but our goal is to fix the disc, not just keep you out of pain. So if you really want to fix it, we need to do the full plan. We can, however, get you out of pain and get you feeling better with chiropractic. It just isn't the long-term fix I want for you. But it's still way better than drugs or surgery. So you can take that approach.
Still putting the importance behind chiropractic, but kind of saying that it's still going to be beneficial, just not as much as it could be.
Yeah. And the other thing you can do with decompression is you could say, like if you were doing decompression and chiropractic all together, and you think, man, like with us, if I had to choose between chiropractic and decompression and they had a disc bulge, I'm going to give them a discounted decompression plan, because chiropractic is just not going to give them the long-term fix. And so in that case, I'd say, listen, we got to do something. And while the plan is designed to not only fix your disc problem, but also to align the spine and set us up in the future so this never comes back, if it's not possible to do the whole plan, we can't ignore this. And so while it's not my best recommendation, I can still fix your disc problem of decompression if we take the chiropractic out to make it more affordable. So instead of $4,900, that would just drop it down to $3,900 or, $3,400, whatever it's going to be. And say, so we do have that option. It's going to fix the disc. It's going to get you out of pain. It's going to fix this immediate problem, which is what I'm assuming you want. There are a lot of benefits to chiropractic beyond just getting you out of pain. And so we can start with just decompression. That'll fix the problem you came in for. But I do want to talk to you throughout your care about why I still think you need chiropractic. And I would like to maybe add that back in at some point, because, and then you tell them the different reasons why they need chiropractic. Say, but specific to your disc, let's get that under control. I can discount it down to $3,900 or $3,400. If you can make that work, we can get you started and get the disc problem taken care of. And what I will do is I'm going to throw in a couple weeks of chiropractic anyway, because I do need to get the bones moving so that they align better. So I'm going to do that as a gift. Now, here's the deal. Most people that do decompression refer their friends in. Although we do marketing, most of our patients come from referrals from patients like yourself. I can't give everybody these discounts and still stay in business. So I'm willing to discount this down under 2 conditions. Number 1, don't tell your friends when you refer them in, because I'm not doing this for everybody. Number 2, I want a testimonial at the end that when you get good results and you're excited about it, I want to do a video testimonial. So if you can give me a great testimonial and not tell your friends how much you paid, I can discount this down and we can get you started. Okay. So there's a couple ways you can discount it without it seeming like you're just like, oh, you can't afford $5,000. What about $4,000? If you say, well, this isn't my best recommendation, but we have to get this disc under control. So let's fix this now, and we'll circle back to the chiropractic. That way you're discounting it, but it doesn't look like you're just trying to make the sale,
Yeah. Okay.
And if they say, well, will I still respond though? Because I don't want to, because what they'll say is, well, I don't want to spend $3,000 and not, if I can't afford to do the whole thing, I don't want to do any of it. And then I'll say, well, I understand that, but the main concern now is getting that disc under control, because if it herniates, all bets are off. Right now you have a disc bulge. When you get a disc herniation, this becomes a lot harder. Right now, there's like a 94% success rate with decompression. When that blows up, which it will at some point, it's going to drop down to 70%. Now that's still better than a 50% failure rate with surgery, but I'd rather work with you when I have a 94% chance of fixing this, not 70%. So time actually does matter. So because of that, let's get the disc under control now. Even though you really need the chiropractic, my main concern is that we fix this disc before it herniates. So let's focus our energy on that. That's going to get you out of pain. That's going to get you feeling better. It's not going to get you to the level of health you're capable of without the chiropractic. But at this point, we need to fix that disc before it blows up. Now, as far as when that's going to happen, it's like having bald tires. You could drive 100 miles or it could blow out in my parking lot. Your disc is the same way. There's no way of knowing. It could last for a month, a day, an hour, or a year. But the one thing I can tell you for sure, it is going to go at some point. Just like a bald tire. There's no way you can drive on that long term. It's going to blow. So let's address this while it's less. And when that happens, our outcomes are worse and it gets twice as expensive to work with. So while this is inexpensive and our outcomes are in the 90s, let's go ahead and get started on this. All right. I got to jump on my 8 o'clock. I will review
Sounds
those
good.
recordings. Go ahead and jump on my schedule for next week and we'll do the recordings.
Cool. Thank you.
Have an awesome morning, man.
Thank you, you too.
If you feel stuck in your practice, working harder but not further, hit subscribe. We break down how to fix that one constraint at a time in every video.